So I said it was going to happen, and it did. It absolutely already has. I've been saying for weeks now that the wrestling media has refused to cover the Uncle Howdy stuff in a way that gives it any sort of credibility. I, Mike Johnson was the first about a month into the campaign, month and a half into the campaign, right around the time of Backlash. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported that the people for this gimmick had already been chosen, and that it was Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, Eric Rowan, Nikki Cross, Dexter Loomis, Joe Gacy, and then we learned that later on, around SummerSlam, Alexa Bliss would be brought into the fold. We were really surprised when Braun Strowman was not involved in this, but I got to be honest with you, when Braun Strowman originally debuted for the first Wyatt family, with the black sheep's mask and everything, I didn't like it. I didn't like him as a part of the group. Sorry. Um, the majority of the Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse stuff did take place, especially the latter half of it with the Alexa Bliss joining, took place during the pandemic era. And I don't know about you guys, but that stuff, yes, you had to do stuff like that during the pandemic era because during the pandemic era there was no crowd, there was no live audience. So you could get away with a lot more of the spooky stuff because you really didn't have that live reaction to it. I that stuff, right? The Alexa Bliss Firefly Funhouse, the Alexa's Playground and stuff like that. It really helped me get through that pandemic era. It made a rather boring show interesting for a little bit, in my opinion. The supernatural stuff in wrestling has always had its ups and downs. Everybody loved The Undertaker when he would, get buried alive and then rise from the dead and the stuff with Kane and all this mess. Loved it. Nobody bashed it then. So why are we bashing this now? Why are so many of the wrestling media, and I'm going to play a clip for you here in a minute, of Brian Alvarez and going on his daily wrestling show for, I don't know what it is, Wrestling Dumbass Network, whatever they want to call it this week, that nobody really listens to. Sports Byline, I think it's called. Anyway, I said this from the very beginning that they were going to come out and give this no respect whatsoever. They're going to come out and bash it. And I'm going to cut to the clip right now where they do bash it, but I will say one thing a couple things they do get right here is that hopefully they've learned from their mistakes with the Bray Wyatt stuff. When that Fiend thing came back and it was, can we at least not we forget the infamous Hell in a Cell match with the Fiend and Seth Rollins? At least we not forget more than recently, right before Bray went out of action and then unfortunately passed away, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. I will say this, that name me one opponent that benefited from the Fiend character. Name me one um, superstar besides Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, and even then, even in the end, Bray didn't benefit from it. Because look at WrestleMania when Alexa turned on him. Name me one opponent of his that benefited from it. I will agree with that. Now, hopefully they've learned their lesson. And hopefully they will book this in a manner where, yes, it's supernatural. but also at the same time, it has to be beneficial to both parties, both the Bray Wyatt side of thing and then whoever they attack. I will be doing a video later in the week because I'm still thinking about how they will debut. I still think, as far as further QR codes go, we're going to get one Friday that is going to lead us to another. It's going to lead us to something that leads us to the countdown thing. If I was them, what I would do is just reuse the same QR code. I would reuse the same exact QR code, direct you to the website for the countdown, maybe include a new journal entry, maybe put something in the source code, and then I would do the same thing on Saturday. Maybe make the countdown clock flicker a little bit more. Maybe add the Nightbird music over the countdown clock. But at this point, they've done all they can do. And overall, they've done a damn good job with this. From Rob Fee, the director of character development for WWE, to Bo Dallas, to, if they are the ones involved, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, Eric Rowan, Bo Dallas, of course, to all the people in WWE's production department, the web designers, the archivists, the music people, anybody who's had anything to do with these websites, with these QR codes, with the web design, with the music, the graphics, my hats are off to these guys because it takes an incredible amount of work to do this and an incredible amount of know-how to get this done. Now I'm going to play this clip here. This is from the recent Wrestling Observer live show on sportsbylinewhatever.com. And in this clip, want you to pay attention to Alvarez's demeanor here and his overall just disdain for this. He's not a fan of it. He's not willing to give it a shot. And we'll come back and analyze what he says after this. Roll the clip.
So this week's QR code on Raw has a countdown clock. The countdown clock ends on June 17, which is this coming Monday's Raw in Corpus Christi. You refuse salvation, the message read, the reckoning is inevitable. And so it appears that Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy's crew, is likely debuting next Monday on Raw. You know, like to see people employed and everything, but I can't say I'm looking forward to this. I cannot say I'm looking forward to another spooky faction in WWE. And I've said this before. I mean, the thing is, whenever I see something spooky now, like Tatum Paxley, you know, she'll do a match and then she'll do a bridge. And like everyone has to talk about how creepy it is. And it's like, she's doing a bridge, kick her legs out, punch her. Like, why is this creepy? She's upside down.
Step on her stomach.
You know what I want in a real fight is for someone to put themselves in a compromising position. Like, that doesn't scare me.
Well,
I just... So anyway, every time I see it, all I can think about is the pandemic. No, the pandemic. Well. Because all of this stuff was done during the pandemic. During a horrible period in wrestling, a horrible period in humanity. Like, I don't want to remember the pandemic. It's all it reminds me of. It feels so dated to see the spooky stuff. So they're just going to try it again.
And a lot of what... This is a controversial take, because if you loved the stuff, you loved the stuff. But a lot of the Bray Wyatt stuff was a huge miss for me. And once the nostalgia and the tears dry up, and once this new thing debuts, I mean, at first, it's going to be pretty crazy, and it'll probably be pretty awesome. But then as it goes on, we'll see, because that was one of the big problems with Bray Wyatt. I love the John Cena thing because it was one of those things that if you're going to give me something wacky, make it so over the top. And the thing with Cena was, I thought, perfect and the best thing that ever happened out of the Bray Wyatt thing. But I don't want to see Alexa Bliss in a doll. I want to see Nikki Storm back, or Nikki, whatever her name is.
Cross.
But Nikki Cross, thank you. I'd like to see her back, but, will she be utilized? Because they didn't before, over and over again. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but, again, cautiously optimistic, I guess I'll say, or pessimistic.
Let's just go to a break.
Yes, we
Wrestling
need to.
Observer Live.
Clarify one thing I said at the end of that segment there.
I hope so. Everyone's confused.
Okay. Look, and just put it plainly, a lot of what Bray Wyatt did, a lot of what the Wyatt family did, a lot of what Alexa did when she was talking to her psychiatrist, a lot of what happened in that funhouse was really effing stupid to me. So I don't know how I feel about this, because again, I don't want to kill Bray Wyatt's legacy. The man has passed away, and there's a lot of people that feel a certain way about all of the stuff that he did. They absolutely love it, and they feel deeply about it, how it was moving wrestling forward and whatever it is. But let's be honest, a lot of it sucked. And a lot of people got sucked into that vortex to steal one from Chris Jericho, who stole it from Jim Cornette. And a lot of it was not made better. Seth Rollins was not made better by this. Randy Orton and large mallets and all that stuff, it was not made better. So I'll say I am cautiously optimistic that they know that from before, and now with this new regime having full control over this, maybe they can move it forward in a way that makes it really interesting week after week after week when it comes to them not only appearing in pre-taped things, but also in the ring for matches.
Well, I guess we'll see Monday when Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, Dexter Loomis,
Wait, Dexter?
Joe Gacy,
Joe Gacy,
Eric Rowan, and Nikki Cross.
Holy smokes! No Alexa Bliss.
So let's well, she's unavailable at the moment. Let's think about how many great Uncle Howdy segments do we remember? None.
Well,
okay. How many great Dexter Loomis segments do we remember?
Well, that's that's
none.
subjective.
How many great Joe Gacy segments we remember?
Well,
I did like the Vintner.
the Vintner he had moments there, and Nikki is great. Nikki's great.
Nikki's a great wrestler, but let me ask the question: how many great Nikki Cross segments did we see with her new gimmick?
Can anybody remember any of her new gimmick?
This is going to be something else.
Well,
This will be something else.
it is.
The synergy of a whole bunch of horrible gimmicks being put together to perhaps make a great gimmick?
So, a couple of things really pissed me off. One, his overall just mocking of this whole thing that has garnered. I would love to see the page view counts for these websites, these different QR codes. How many times has this QR code been visited? How many times has the websites been visited? How many times have the videos been watched and downloaded? I can tell you right now, I could go on, let's go on X right now here and just do a code, hashtag Uncle Howdy. And I'm looking at the last hour and there's like 3 or 4 posts. So, it's gotten to the point where the Uncle Howdy stuff gets so rampant on Mondays and Friday nights that the bots pick it up. And you'll see some random person begging for money and just use hashtag Uncle Howdy because he knows people will see it. And he refers to Eric Rowan all the time as the Vintner, which is just stupid to me. He's not coming back as a Viking character. So it just baffles me how, he's always bashed Rowan. He always bashed Harper. He always bashed Bray Wyatt. The dude just has no. I mean, what do you want? 50 members of the Alpha Academy running around just having good matches, as Tony Khan would say. You got to have good. People just want to see good matches. No, I want to be entertained as well. It's sports entertainment, dude. You need a little bit of, a little bit of soap opera thrown in there now and then. And that's what this is. A little bit of soap opera in there. So, I mean, he's sitting there talking about Tatum Paxley and people freaking out every time she throws a bridge. Oh, just kick her out of the way. Dude, do people freak out every time your skinny ass strikes a pose? No. You get no reaction. I've seen his work. It's horrible. That's one thing I will say about Alvarez. He is a trained worker, and he has been working in the wrestling business as a wrestler off and on since the early 2000s. But he hasn't wrestled lately. From what I mean, he sticks to his buddies Tom Lawler and whatever. I'm not going to get into that. Name a good Joe Gacy match. Joe Gacy hasn't ever been up on the main roster. He's been in NXT, and I actually like the stuff he did with the Schism. Dexter Loomis. Name a good Dexter Loomis. Dexter Loomis was on the main roster for a little bit, and then he got rebranded, and then they took him off to join this. I've liked Dexter Loomis's work. I like the stuff he did with Indy Hartwell. I like the stuff that he was doing on Raw with the creepy stare and everything. And he's a damn good worker. So is Joe Gacy. The only one that I will give a pass to on this is Nikki Cross. They've treated her like utter garbage up until now. The whole Nikki ASH thing, she may have enjoyed doing it, and she may said it inspired little kids and everything like that, and it very well may have, but it did not do her any favors in the long run. The stuff she did with Sanity in NXT, golly, go back and watch some of that stuff. And then, you have Eric Rowan, who had good matches with Harper and the Wyatt family and everything. We don't need to gloss, but I mean, it's just. And then he goes, name one good Uncle Howdy match. I don't think Uncle Howdy even had a match. He was just there. And they were slowly building up to him having a match. And then Bray got sidelined and eventually passed away. May he rest in peace. So before, people are constantly getting on me saying, why are you bashing the build to this? I haven't bashed the build to it at all. I've said that some people, and it's all over my comments section. If you go read the comments on my videos, I'm not the only one that said it, that maybe they should have dragged this out to, why now? Why couldn't you have debuted this on a Raw 2 or 3 weeks ago? And you know what? They admonished us for thinking that. And they even told us this week, your patience will be rewarded. I darn well hope so. But the wrestling media is overlooking this big time, and it's going to be a big part of Monday Night Raw on the 17th. And I really hope that besides Alvarez and Meltzer's going to shrug it off. Well, it's not, they didn't throw 50 super kicks, so minus 5 stars. So all I'm telling people is give it a chance. Give it a chance. You supported, this is not the first time they've done something supernatural. As my truck starts up in the background. Sorry, guys. It is hot outside today. Only thing I could say is I'm willing to give this a shot. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. It's what you got to do with wrestling sometimes. Within reason, suspend your disbelief. And realize maybe they have learned from their mistakes. And maybe this will get them somewhere. I just hope they call themselves the Wyatt Six and don't call themselves the Reckoning, like is on that countdown clock page, because that's a horrible name. I'd rather you guys use Wyatt Six. It pays homage to Bray Wyatt, and overall it just sounds better. But anyway, that's what the wrestling media thinks about Uncle Howdy, and I hope to God they get proven wrong Monday night when you have the Monday after a pay-per-view or PLE, and you have this countdown clock. So it should pop a huge rating Monday night. And I would love for the wrestling media who hasn't covered this, who has now are forced to cover it because it's coming Monday night, and they're totally bashing it, poo-pooing it, and just not wanting to give it any thought. I hope to God that Bo Dallas and the rest of the Wyatt Six make them eat their words this coming Monday. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you to all those who have been doing that lately. I really, really appreciate it. We'll see you down the road.